All right, so I see that we're booting up, so I'm going to go ahead and let me know when we are up to speed, where I'll go ahead and get into everything of this broadcast injury report. So I always like to start off with the injury report. Haven't talked to you guys live specifically about some acquisitions that we've made. Well, I kind of have a little bit, but today Coach Rivera added a little bit more information behind that. And then we want to do some little bit of coaches talk, what Rivera talked about at today's press conference, as well as we'll talk a little bit about Colin Kaepernick and what the NFL is doing. I mostly want to hear you guys' comments on that. So start leaving your comments ready, set, now on those topics. But a few things. The Thomas Davis canvas is like, now I can't give it away. So I'm going to put a link. It's not in this video. If you guys know where it is, you can go back and look. I'm going to announce another winner tonight for the Thomas Davis canvas. Kind of like this picture behind me, bigger, and of Thomas Davis. I'm giving it away. So check it out. I'm going to leave a comment. If your name is on that comment, then you win. And I recommend that you're in Charlotte, because if you're outside of Charlotte, then you have to pay for shipping, which some people don't mind. Solely your call. And then I'm excited to tell you the T-shirts I've been talking about for probably like 2 weeks now. Got some T-shirts that I'm going to be selling to help raise money for Charlotte Vibe. I asked you guys for donations, which you can still do. Super chats, Cash App, GoFundMe, that's all in links below. But if you guys want to have a tangible item, T-shirts will be coming. So make sure you check that out and be on the lookout for it. My son has joined on, man. I appreciate it. My son is, as you guys probably know, is in the final stages of the Marines. But basically, I'm happy now because I can talk to him on a daily basis. He no longer is sequestered from talking to people. So let's go ahead and start with this injury report, which is what I always like to start out with. All right. So these are going to be, I'm just going to pick out the significant ones that did not practice and the limited practice, because I feel like we got a significant one there with the limited practice. But we have Ross Cockrell, who went in and out and then back out of that game in Green Bay. He did not practice today, still with that quad injury. Dennis Daly did not practice with the groin. Dante Jackson did not practice. I'm assuming a little bit of that might be precaution, or a little bit might also be due to him playing a full game in that cold weather. Cold really messes you up if your body has any aches. So that could have been what happened with Dante Jackson. Unfortunately, I will not be in the locker room this week to get any direct comments from people, but I will continue to use my sources and get the information and bring it to you all. Let's see, Kyle Love did not practice with a shoulder injury. Christian McCaffrey, maintenance, the guy gets beat up, so they're not making him practice every single day, giving him some vet privileges. Gerald McCoy with his knee didn't practice. Here's the one that I am most excited about, just from a heart-caring, personal standpoint. Greg Little, who's been out for weeks with the concussion, has some limited practice today. Of course, we can't say exactly when he's coming back, but that is promising. And congratulations to you, Greg, for getting back out there and looking like you may be on the field shortly here. James Bradbury also did not practice. So with the James Berry comment, not practice, I'm going to talk a little bit about those injuries. And you guys, again, if you got some comments, please leave them, because after this segment here, I'm going to start reading your comments. And again, I want to hear you all's thoughts on the Colin Kaepernick and the NFL giving him a tryout this Saturday in Atlanta. All right, so let me go ahead and go through my thoughts on the recent acquisition. So I think it was Friday, tail end of last week. Released my man Greg Dortch, promoted Cole Luke. So wasn't too happy about that, but here's why I get it. It was because of the fact that James Bradbury wasn't looking like he was going to be a go, so they need to have some other players to have some depth, which you could tell they needed because Cockrell got injured during the game. So you had Luke come in there and had to play some snaps. Then come, Monday? Maybe Tuesday. But anyway, early this week, we made another acquisition, releasing a practice squad player. And we made a few moves on the practice squad level, but we'll stay higher on the 53-man roster. We signed Corn Elder, which has previously played for the Carolina Panthers. He was released, picked up by good old Dave Gettleman, but he was only on the practice squad, so we were able to pick him up and sign him back onto the team. So a few things about those two moves, which Rivera spoke about today, to give us a little bit more insight on those two moves. So Greg Dortch, didn't offer a lot of flexibility. He's talked about player flexibility. He's been able to do more than one thing for a team on a Sunday. And it seems like Greg's shortcoming was it for him. He was not going to see any time at all as a wide receiver. DeAndrew White, which we had released and picked back up, was much more likely talent to receive possible snaps at wide receiver versus Greg Dortch all the way down. With injuries building up on those other positions, he was then expendable. So that's a little bit more on why the Greg Dortch release. Now, in regards to the Corn Elder signing, that was, again, just continuing to provide some depth at that position. And I'm also going to assume that they just didn't see enough out of Cole Luke on that they said, let's get a little bit more insurance and get Corn Elder, a guy that's already been in the system, a guy that already knows what we're doing. And he may not be totally up to speed because there's some wrinkles that they put in here now, having a 4-3 and 3-4 in there. But it's still not a guy that's starting from scratch and a guy that we once believed in and was available. So he was brought back onto the squad. All right. Ooh, we got some comments. So let me go ahead and go over some of these comments real quick. I'm not sure CMC got in. What you mean by that? How was that rough in the passer? So that rough in the passer, I haven't liked that call in general this season, but looking at it for what it has been called, if you go down and if you put all your weight onto that quarterback, you're going to get that call possibly. And unfortunately, we got it based on that. And that's the explanation that the players got after that call, or Ron, was that the players put too much weight, didn't come up as they tackled Rodgers after the first hit. So that's why they got called there. Just as well as a little bit of explanation on the the field goal attempt, in which Luke looked like he was furious and about to blow a gasket. They're allowed to shift like they did, but specifically what they did was they bunched too tight. So imagine these are two players. You can be side by side, but allegedly they bunched like this where they were covering each other's shoulders, and then therefore that was the reason why the penalty was called on that field goal attempt. Excuse me. All right, I'm going to come back to the Caps. Colin Kaepernick. Hey, B. Evans says, what's up, Chandler? Happy Veterans Day. Go Marines. So, again, guys may see my son Papa on here. I'm not going to talk about him every time, but, proud Papa, he's back into almost civilian life. So he's on here. You guys can welcome to say hello to him for getting on here. Oh, my man Brandon Pope. Yeah, you guys are showing my son the love. I appreciate it. Y'all know I miss him. It's been like over a month, but I'm not going to make this about my son. I think it'll be great. And Carolina should look. Okay, they're still talking about the Cap. Hey, Chris. What's up, Altamore? All right, so, again, we're going to get to those Colin Kaepernick comments, so please continue to leave them on here, and we're going to go because I want to hear what you guys think about that. Eric Reed today spoke with the media, providing his comments on that. Probably can guess what Eric Reed kind of feels. I'm not saying right or wrong, but certainly Eric Reed seems to be that guy that you want in your corner, because it seems like he's just not going to care about anything until Colin's on a team, right? But a few comments, notes, takeaways from Coach Ron Rivera talking with the media today. Kyle Allen, shouts out to Will Conkle from Fox 46 that asked Coach Rivera this question about Kyle throwing the go routes, the seam routes, the straight routes, whatever you want to call them, 9 routes. I mentioned that Sunday while I was watching the game that's something that Kyle is struggling with. He can throw a lot of different passes, but when guys are streaking down the field, whether that's near the sidelines or down the hash, he's underthrowing these catches, and he's been doing it for a while. Rivera says he thinks that he's trying to be too perfect with the throw and being a little too tight. And, no, they haven't told him to just go ahead and throw it, give it all. I'd rather you overthrow the guy than underthrow it. But he feels like his confidence is going to grow, and they are going to connect better on those deep passes. Personally, I wish they would say, just throw the doggone ball further, man. Stop babying him. Stop thinking that you don't have the talent. But you've underthrown those guys so many times. So hopefully that'll be something that gets picked up and fixed. So let's go ahead and talk about this Colin Kaepernick, and then I'm going to sign off. NFL said they're going to have a workout for Colin Saturday in Atlanta, and it seemed kind of bizarre. We're at week, I believe, 10. Could be wrong, but let's say we're at week 10. To me, if you want to give this guy a chance, give him a chance way earlier in the season than this. I mean, the trade deadline is up. Teams are, we're more than halfway, just slightly through the season. I think it's not the best situation if you're truly trying to give that guy a chance to get back into the league to do so. Whether or not you think he should be, it's like, is that the effort to get him back? Well, then give him back in a pretty good predicament where he has coaches that can attend, and not on a Saturday, and not telling everybody last minute so they can scramble to try to figure this out. So naturally, Coach Ron Rivera was asked about it today, immediately deflected it, saying that it's a personnel decision for that of Marty Herney, which, okay, good deflection. I would have liked to ask him, I know that even though it's Marty's decision, they will talk about it. Is that something that they have talked about? Didn't hear that, but Eric Reed, in speaking with the media today, said that he did speak with the owner, David Tepper, about it when Cam Newton was placed on injured reserve, and he said, like, right now the team's not looking for a veteran quarterback. So, all right, let's turn it over to you all's questions and see what you have to say. What are your thoughts on this Colin Kaepernick thing? And didn't talk about this. I kind of forgot, so let me backtrack for a second. James Bradberry being out, facing the Atlanta Falcons. Bradberry has done a really good job over the years with containing Julio Jones. It's a division game, so super duper important. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if Bradberry will be back, and I think it's safe to feel like if he is back, he may not be 100%. I still feel confident with this game against Atlanta. I know that they just had the big win against the New Orleans Saints. Good for them. You know, any given Sunday, something like that could happen. I don't think that was a game where we could say this Atlanta Falcons have turned it around. I feel like the Panthers should have a pretty good hold on this game this Sunday. That's my prediction, is that we win. Never know any given Sunday. But let me go ahead and get into these Colin Kaepernick comments from you all, and then I'm going to sign off. Let's see what y'all talking about. I hope they go to keep Cap workout and honestly consider signing him. So that's John Deerdolf hoping that we consider signing Colin Kaepernick. Let's see. Hydro Life. Again, so that's 2, feeling like we should consider signing Colin Kaepernick. That's not saying sign, but it's saying go take a look and consider. I like it just from the standpoint of forget who he is, forget what he did, but just look at a guy that's been to the Super Bowl, a veteran quarterback who's been staying in shape, and we need to have that third quarterback. I'm not the fan of having Will Grier as our backup. I'm fine with having Will Grier if it would just suddenly happen and we couldn't prepare for it. We didn't know, like, something. But if we have a chance to get some depth behind Will Grier, I say bring that guy in. Heck, you could release him after a couple weeks if you feel like he doesn't give you much more than Will Grier. But anyway, let me go back to you guys' comments, which is what I want to focus on. Give me just a second. I lost my spot, guys. Okay, I'm back on here. You think the Panthers might consider Kaepernick? So I just gave my comments on that one for you, Brandon Holt. Doug Nieder says, I don't think so. Deltwan Young, will they play Dante this week? Yeah, I feel confident that Dante is going to play. He's been back for 2 weeks now. Again, I didn't have a chance to talk to Dante or really ask the coach anything, but my opinion is that cold weather, if you're dinged up, is definitely going to continue to have whatever was dinged up still be dinged up. And I think it's just something to give him some rest. I feel like he'll be fine to go on this Sunday. Thanks, Doug. I am doing well. Happy to be back in the Carolinas. All right, Hydro Life. I'm not going to read that comment. I need a little bit more credible sources. I mean, I appreciate you subscribing. If you are, I appreciate you tuning in. But that's a lot of information in which I feel more comfortable reading, having heard from a source that I'm familiar with. All right, Brandon Pope. So let's say Cap gets a job and plays against Eric. Does he light him up on a tackle where he plays soft? It's gonna light them up, man. I think it's been pretty consistent. I haven't been covering the NFL for like 50 years or anything like that, but it's pretty consistent. That anytime you have a chance to hit somebody that you're familiar with, that was a brother, a former teammate, you relish that opportunity. So I don't feel that there will be any lightness given to Colin from Eric if they are able to play against each other. Shake and bake. I'm assuming you're talking about Christian McCaffrey with his average. No, no, no. I'm sorry. Shake and bake. You're talking about. I'm not sure. Shake and bake. Tell me who you're talking about there on that comment. Football after game they would talk, but in the game it's another thing. Yeah, Hydro Life, 100%. And that's in regards to if Eric and Colin was to play against each other, that Hydro Life is saying it's football during the game. After the game, even before the game, they might, dap it up and everything. But during the game, everybody's out to continue to get their paycheck. And the only way you do that is to play lights out every time. Shake and bake, Vernon Hargrave should have been picked up instead of Corn. Okay. Doug Nieder, he's not coming. It sounds nice, but won't happen. Yeah, I don't know if it'll happen, but the biggest comment that I have is I don't like the way that it's been brought about. I think they could do a better job of that in terms of giving Colin an opportunity and a platform. Even if you look at it from the sake of Roger Goodell's, just like, hey, I don't see these teams moving enough, so I want to do something more to try to help give this guy a chance. Even if you were to take that route, I still believe that you, as the commissioner, you can't make anybody sign it. But if you want to say, hey, let me really try to make sure that there's no collusion going on here, give the guy a very good, you can give him a better platform by far than a Saturday tryout in Atlanta the day before a game this late into the season. Is Greg Little playing? So Greg Little is not playing yet, but Greg Little made some significant progress today in that he had some limited practice. It's his first time having limited practice in what I would guess is 6 weeks. I could be off a week, but it's a promising sign. He was last week had promising signs in that he was out there because for weeks we didn't even see him out on the practice field. So last week he had some appearances on the practice field, not the whole week, but a few days. And then today he actually had limited practice. So my guess, again, not swearing to it, but just my guess would be he'd have one more week that he would be out. I would think they want to see him a little contact since the guy's been out so long, had his concussion in the summer before they let him come back 100%. All right, so I'm going to end with these right here. Hydro Life said they should at least look into Kaepernick at the Panthers. Look who we have as backup right now, Wilger. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. So here's the one I'm going to end up on. And again, just to touch back on the thing I said at the beginning, if you guys are watching, haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. If you're already a subscriber, do me a favor, hit that like button as it helps people find out about me and helps me grow, which helps me to do things that I like to do for you all, that you want me to do. And hit that notification so you can take part in these live broadcasts like I'm doing right now. So I'm going to end up, B. Evans asks, is it time to get another great tight end other than Olsen? He's injury prone as well. So I don't know how much longer Greg Olsen has with the team because I don't feel like he's at the level that he used to be. I feel like he's good, but I don't feel like he can consistently be good at that level that he was before. I don't feel like he's injury prone right now. I had to take a double look because I'm thinking with Greg, if you're talking about the other Greg. But you're set tight end. So I don't feel like Greg Olsen is injury prone, but I do feel like his excellence is declining, not that he's terrible by any means. And I really would like to see more Ian Thomas out there catching some passes. Chris Manhurst is a blocking tight end, but Ian Thomas shows some flash. And I asked Rivera about this earlier this year, and he just said that Ian Thomas was taking some time to really get back into the swing of things from his injury. And that was at this point about 3 weeks ago, and we're still not seeing Ian get any targets. I think we could definitely see some changes between our tight ends between this year and next year with Manhurst, Thomas, and Olsen, especially depending on how this season goes. But I really feel like even if we don't go to the Super Bowl, I'm sorry, that unless we go to the Super Bowl, that I feel like it's a pretty good chance that Olsen could retire, just because he has other opportunities. He has had the injuries, and if you don't go to the Super Bowl, like, we could be good again next year, but I don't know if he'd want to come back versus retiring. So that is it for me. Leave your comments. Anything that I did miss, I will get back on here and respond to those comments. Hey, again, I'm happy to be back in Carolina, man. The one thing about Green Bay, and I heard this from a lot of different people, is that they were the nicest bunch of people ever. I mean, I could tell you guys about 10 stories, from the hotel staff, the concession stand staff, to the daggone wireless. Like you see this wireless mic here that I'm talking on. We all have to register our wireless mics with the NFL, just so to make sure that on game day there's no conflicting signals. You're not messing with some kind of broadcast. It's a little bit of a pain, but you think about all the coordination that goes into the technical stuff. It's pretty cool. But here I am going to tell you the story anyway, and I said I wasn't going to tell you all of it. But I walk in, and they could see my wireless mic, and they said, hey, the guy had this little thing, put it up to it. It's like, oh, I see your signal. But anyway, I hadn't yet registered the signal. And I was like, guys, it's just, I was not going to go wireless today. I was just going to go wired. And they're like, well, let's see if we can find you a signal so that you can go ahead and use your wireless stuff. Which team are you going to be? Where are you going to be? Anyway, all goes to say that these guys found a signal for me to use 2 hours before the game so I could use my wireless mics. And I can tell you that most other times people just be like, no, you didn't register. We don't have time to look. We got all these people. Just make sure that you do not use your wireless equipment. But nevertheless, Green Bay people, the nicest by far of any place that I have traveled, and it was pretty cool. Fortunately, I don't feel like there's a reason to go back to Green Bay, to sightsee, and do anything other than Lambeau. But if you want to go, great place to go. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you all for watching. I'm Chris Jenkins for Charlotte Vibe. Thank you for watching.